And as we explore Jung's inner journey through his writings, we can draw a powerful parallel of symbolism to the summer solstice. The summer solstice marks the longest day of the year, the most light, a time when the Oak King, a figure of light and growth, hands over to the Holly King, who reigns over the darker half of the years. It's that inner battle between the lightness and darkness, the yin and yang, and we can see it, as I said, in the summer solstice, in the traditions of the Druids, where they enact this embattlement of the handover of power so that balance can be maintained. Welcome to Spiritual Midwife, the podcast that tenderly guides you through the transformative journey of spiritual awakening and personal development towards the ultimate destination of soul sovereignty. I'm Claire Attio, a medicine woman and dedicated guide to the profound realm of soul sovereignty, and you are listening to Spiritual Midwife. Hello beautiful souls, and happy summer solstice. In today's episode we're going to delve into Carl Jung's profound inner work, the symbolism of the summer solstice and the transformative power of facing our inner shadows. So settle in and open your hearts and minds as we embark on this sacred journey together. For those of you that don't know, Carl Jung was a pioneering psychologist that we refer to within spirituality a huge amount, but also within the medical profession. That's when I first came across him, was within the medical profession, although within that sphere I think there is less emphasis on the fact that he encapsulated the soul. He understood the importance of soul knowledge within the sphere of wholeness, which gets lost, as I said, within the medical profession, but within spirituality it fits beautifully with what we're trying to do and ascending to those higher levels of consciousness. And what we're going to take a look at today is his vision that he wrote, one in particular in the Red Book. And in this vision he writes, his soul declared, "My path is light." And in response Jung asked, "Do you call light what we men call the worst darkness?" And within this stark dialogue we can it actually reveals the profound struggle Jung faced and we face. In his vision he described himself as becoming a monstrous animal, feeling as though he had exchanged his humanity. And that's what grabbed me when I read that, because that is very similar to an experience that I have had that we will discuss a bit further on. Jung's journey was not just a pursuit of light, but an encounter with his darkest fears. His trust, like our trust, was tested to the brink, and it led him into anger and frustration with his own soul. And if you've been on the journey, if you've been doing inner work, especially if you've been doing what is now known as shadow work, which kind of Jung coined, as it were, you will understand why and how he felt that anger and how he felt that frustration. Yet this struggle is such a crucial part for transformation. It was such a crucial part for his transformation, and he had to confront and integrate those monsters to find his true self, to find his light. And as we explore Jung's inner journey through his writings, we can draw a a powerful parallel of symbolism to the summer solstice. The summer solstice marks the longest day of the year, the most light, a time when the Oak King, a figure of light and growth, hands over to the Holly King, who reigns over the darker half of the years. It's that inner battle between the lightness and darkness, the yin and yang, and we can see it, as I said, in the summer solstice, in the traditions of the Druids, where they enact this embattlement of the handover of power so that balance can be maintained. The Druid ceremony symbolizes a transition of that power, a surrender to the natural cycles. Just as Jung had to surrender to his inner darkness to find the light, we too must recognize and honor these cycles within ourselves, within nature, within the cosmos. This is what gives us flow, when we are able to surrender to the natural cycles. Facing our inner demons, as Jung did, is a crucial part to personal transformation. In shamanism, this is known as disembowelment, a metaphysical and energetic turning inside out. And I recall my own initiation into disembowelment. I didn't know. Sometimes not knowing, sometimes not having that knowledge, although knowledge gives us power, sometimes being naive in what we're doing can remove those fear aspects before we start, because we don't know what we're getting into. We don't have a fear of it. I'd actually stumbled upon disembowelment because I'd set a really powerful intention of where I wanted to take my life and the change that I wanted to create. And within the journey, my guides knew I had the strength to do it. They knew what they were doing because they'd been doing it for centuries. And so that is where we went. That is what we did. But it wasn't until a few years later that I actually learnt that it had a name, and it was part of an initiation. I just knew at the time it was horrific, but it was also very powerful and profound, and it did create instant energetic shifts within me. And that's why I say sometimes it's good to be naive. And to be, but you do, in that naivety, you also have to have a level of trust that you feel safe. We should never be pushing ourselves to the point where we don't feel safe in the practices that we're undertaking. That is coming from an egoic state. That is coming from an egoic state of saying, I can control this. And we, in many of these practices, cannot and do not have the control. It is of a higher power. It is of a higher source. And so we should be using our discernment and using our intuition to listen to that, to be guided by that, and not be pushing with our ego. It is a process that tested every ounce of my courage, much like Jung's experience that he wrote about. And free will plays a massive role in this journey. We must choose whether to cling to the past lessons or embrace forward movement. It's a choice. Are we using our free will to say enough and move on? As I did, I set that powerful intention. I'd had enough. Or are we comfortable, stuck in the cycles, and we stay there because the known, however uncomfortable it is much more comfortable than the unknown. We're continuing those cycles out of fear. And Jung, in his writings, acknowledged his fears of facing those inner demons. The fear is real and it's valid. But overcoming it is essential for growth. So how do we approach this inner work, like me, you can start by setting powerful intentions of change. What have you had enough of in your life? What cycles have you been repeating that you have taken the lessons, you have taken the gems, but for whatever reason you are obviously attached to something that is keeping that hamster wheel rolling. You're not stepping off of it. So we set those powerful intentions, and then we embrace our journeys at a pace that feels right for us. Trust in ourselves and in the higher power, whatever that higher power may be for you. Remember, this journey is not about rushing. It's about progressing steadily, mindfully. As we draw this episode to a close, I just want you to reflect on a few introspective questions. Are you willing to face your inner shadows? How can you surrender to a higher power on your journey? And lastly, what lessons are you holding on to? And how can you let go to move forward? Take some time to sit with those questions and then journal your thoughts. Be honest. Remember, your journey to soul sovereignty is a sacred pilgrimage. It's not a race. There is no gold medal. Well, there is a gold medal. There's a gold medal for each of us, but there is no one winner. We all win. And as each of us does it, everybody else is affected and inspired by that greater energy those ripples are put out into the universe. So embrace it with courage and curiosity. That's it from Spiritual Midwife this week. I hope our exploration of Jung's journey and the summer solstice and personal transformation has inspired you. In our next episode, we will delve deeper into the themes of spiritual growth and self-actualization. Don't forget, leave your feedback, share this podcast with those who might benefit from it. Until next time, love in light.